We finally made it. It's time for these party calls. These intro to party. Hey, my name is Andrew Bepler, and you've probably been wondering, oh man, when am I going to learn how to animate explosions? Well, not yet. That's for sure. I'm not even going to try and tackle that in this video, but I am going to introduce you to some particles and how I think that they work sometimes, and you might even like that. So I'm going to do it right here. So let's say we've got a cannon, and it's advanced, obviously, because of all the shapes. You know, no cannon of low level advancement would have such, such advanced shapes, because, that's a trope of cannon technology. I mean, just look at that thing. It's got all kinds of, it's got a scope, it's so advanced. I mean, this thing, it probably has a flashlight attachment, in all seriousness, because it is so advanced. And you know what that flashlight attachment has? A laser attachment. Here's the laser. Here's the cable for the laser. There's probably two, positive and negative. And then here's that laser front part. Oh, wow. And what is a cannon good for if it doesn't have a stock? I can't imagine anything, if I'm being perfectly serious with you. Oh, and then there it is. Look at that. I started on my object creation tutorial in my particles tutorial. What? So you might be thinking, I need to make something shoot, and I need to make it shoot now. It's my set of particles, and I need it now. So what I like to do is animate some kickback. We got our gun, and it's gonna fire. So, how about right there? It'll go on for 10 frames, and then it will shoot. First frame, it'll go back just a little, and then the real recoil sets in. Right there. Oh yeah. What a shot that this thing just took. I mean, it was behemoth, that shot. And then it'll go back to a resting position. Just like that. Yeah. Particles. Okay. Yep, good. And then it'll slow down. Great. Now, when it shoots, oh, so much happens. Oh boy. This will be the start of our smoke. So hey, before I even begin to animate this, and I am going to animate my first ever particles tutorial, let's talk about the three kinds. We have gas particles, there's liquid particles, lovely, and then there's solid ones too. And that's about all I can think of. So, yeah. I'm going to be doing tutorials for introductions on each of these three kinds. This might entail stuff like, well, okay, this will be like smoke and fire and, stuff of that lore. And then there's like electricity, which is kind of an in-between of liquid and gas. So this is like blood and water and, poison, lava, all that good stuff. And this is anything else. This is limbs flying off of people. This is buildings breaking in half. This is plates getting broken, yada yada yada. The earth shattering. Gas and liquid, they have surface tension. Liquid much more so than gas. Liquid longs to be spherical. Gas longs to be spherical. Not as much, but it's still there. And I mean, that's about all there is to say. So everything wants to be a sphere, even if it starts off as a line. You know, it'll turn into a sphere over time, over its lifetime as a particle. And gases go up, and these two go down with gravity. So there you have it. Let's look at some shapes of some gas particles. Obviously, the circle, classic, the original. That's when something happens in the center and everything goes outward from there. Or maybe it's just a piece of particleage and it just wants to be a sphere, so it is. This happens a lot where you get a crescent like this, where it maybe once was a sphere, you know, like this, and part of it started to melt away, like that. Crescent. Then you get this shape, the in-between of the crescent and the sphere. Well, that one, the tadpole. That happens a lot, where maybe only a side of it starts to get sucked up into it, not the whole thing, you know, only a quarter. Those three are pretty common, and that's basically what you'll need. Lines happen a lot, and for gas, that's about it. Always round edges, almost usually. I mean, sometimes those are sort of sharp, like right there, but usually things are pretty round. And then ovals, those happen. You know, what have you? Just watch. Just let's do a little pay attention. So when it starts off, I'm not going to be doing any fire on this, so let's just imagine the fire is discluded from this tutorial. It's all about the smoke. Oh, let's make it a little bit darker, and I'm not going to be doing any shading. This is not a 3D smoke tutorial, but I'll get there when I get there. So the source is so important, whether you're doing liquid like blood or you're doing explosions. Like, the first frame is what everything else is based off of. You know, it's where your particles are birthed. So with this one, your next particles would be like just extensions of those points from where I'm drawing them. Yeah? So the first frame is so critical. I'm going to cut it off flat at the width of the barrel. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so let's get some imperfections in this smoke. Maybe right there. That's good. And then we'll do some stuff like this, a little bit bigger, like that. Yeah. And then I'm just going outward from like right there as the center, and then I'm drawing lines outward from there. So maybe one going forward, like that. That's not bad. I could imagine like a super advanced, super future bullet coming out of that little, like as if it was right here. Totally. And then maybe something right there. And that ought to be good to start with. Ignore the sounds of hail outside my window. Washington State is relentless. So here's what's going to happen. Check it out. See this bulge right here? Remember our leaders and our followers. This bulge, oddly enough, is facing this way, when the center leads me to believe that it would be pointing that way. Curious that. Why is that, Andrew? Well, it was actually going this way, and then it started going that way, and then it's going to start going that way. Just for whatever reason. It happens all the time. It just does. Smoke gets sucked back. Because, like, the difference in air temperatures. Let me just draw the frames. Let me just go ahead and draw the frames, and then I'll show you what I mean. So, frame 2. me get a smaller brush. Everything that's here is going to amplify, just like this. This bulge that I just drew is that one, just bigger. And then this one will become like that. And then, so when you draw smoke, there's like leaders, and then there are trails, not followers necessarily, but stuff that trails behind. So everything right here is the lead on this front part, because that's what's being, in quotes, dragged behind by the bullet. So, how do I show this? Let me draw it first. And there's these, and then like that, maybe, no, like that. Okay, so I need a notes layer. Gotta make that layer. Here, check this out, check this out. So this bulge here and this bulge here both have momentum or velocity from getting shot out of the barrel, because there was an explosion back here and then they went forward, and they're going to keep going forward, right? And they're just going to kind of pan out to fill the space, the path of least resistance being the air around it. But then eventually this thing is going to be moving faster than this initial velocity, and so these smoke bits are going to, instead of moving forward, are going to start getting dragged by the whole thing. Happens all the time. I'll just animate it. I will just do it. I gotta stop explaining stuff before I even draw it. Okay, so maybe like that. See what's happening here? See that? It's billowing. It's like when a nuke goes off, you know? It billows right here. It's pulling in. Here, just watch. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe this one's longer. And then these start to pile up. 7-car pile up. And then this one will be just like a point. Yep. This is going to be a long video. See, you're looking right now. You already know the runtime. You future teller, you. Me right here, though, animating this, I've got no clue how long this is going to take. So then this will start to go up inside as it draws more smoke. Like this part further away, so it comes from here. Yeah? And then this part good. Okay, so here's a principle that you should probably learn early on. Oh man, it's really coming down out there. When you have a source of smoke, all the smoke goes away from the source. Like these lines, they head outward. So here might be one frame, and then the next frame, they might be moved down a little bit, like that. Like, see, this would be lined up, but they move down just a bit. And I'll touch on that when I do the explosions. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna load up an example. I'm gonna just do it so I can save time in trying to make sense of this. And this is what I'm talking about. Steady. See that? See what's going on here? Those, watch those. They go away from the source. Okay? You hear me? And like here, they're going away from the source. That way. Down the thing. Yeah. Everywhere. Same there too. So, when you animate your smoky smoke, this bulge here, instead of starting to go forward more, is now going to get pulled backwards. So maybe it'll end up there. Well, not that dramatically. It'll end up there, and then these start to pile up. This one being this one. And then it'll start to generate new ones, and eventually it'll break off as it continues to go forward. Yeah, so there you have it. Lots of forces in lots of different directions. Let's look at another part of the smoke puff. Like this part here. Maybe some of this. Alright, so we got pieces going backwards, and then we got pieces going forwards. So we're just going to start having some countering motions. And then like that, and I'll link these up right like that, there. And then this piece, maybe it started to close a little loop in there. And then this one is still expanding just a little bit. Boy, you're not going to get good at smoke unless you just do it. That's true about almost everything in animation. Unfortunately. Like, I don't know anything that practice doesn't make you better at. Okay, here. There's some of that, and then this piece is still going forward. It's all just one big tug of war. And then this closes that loop, and then like that piece there, it's gonna move backwards. And that one there will move back, and that one there. Yeah, looking super. Wow. This is phase 1 of the explosion, of the particles, the gas particles, smoke going up. Okay, so this thing, let's do what I was talking about earlier. So, oh my gosh, everything draws from something. Smoke doesn't just generate itself. Once the initial smoke is created, all it can do is expand, and after a certain point, it can't expand anymore. So it's got to pull it from somewhere. So where is this huge thing pulling its volume from? The back. Yeah. Good for me. Like, that might be a better way to draw that. Yeah, that's good. So once something comes out of the barrel, it creates a vacuum, and then it sucks stuff that way. Like, this just happens. It maybe doesn't happen so much in real life explosions, like it kind of does, because all this stuff is moving that way. So I don't even know how to explain that. Like, there was a bullet that went through here, right? A big chunk of matter that made way here. So the air that was here, it created a vacuum through here where there was nothing, and something has to fill that gap. And honestly, it looks more like this, probably. So the smoke gets sucked up into the place for the first little initial burst, and then that'll give rise to new parts of the smoky smoke. No, wait, there, and then that. Yeah, good. Okay. Hey Hey, you watcher, you. I'm gonna put this FLA in the description of this video. Now, what's going on here? Yeah, that looks good. And then this might start to close. As in, pinch off right there and make this whole thing its own thing. That's why I'm doing this, because like this is a big chunk, and then it's going to start to turn into that, where it pinches itself off like a water droplet on a faucet. So maybe while this one continues to get sucked forward, they're pulling in opposite directions, and they're just going to break at a certain point. In fact, possibly even the piece that I'm drawing right now is going to break. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, more like that. That's good. Explosions you have to animate in little pieces. You can't animate each frame of the explosion all at once. Well, you can. You can do that. But you might lose track of certain things that are happening over time. So I recommend you do it in pieces. And just remember generally what the big movements as a whole are, because you'll get better little details. I'm not going to be able to do this for the actual explosion tutorial because it takes hours to make an explosion. And I'm going to have to do some fast forwarding. But for simple smoke like this, simple, you can stand to watch a video that long. Okay, there. That's coming along smooth. Yeah? And then this will start to go. And then it'll really go for real. And then this will become its whole thing. Mm-hmm. Suddenly something is so different. Suddenly a wild explosion appeared. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. I would try to explain what happened, but I can't. Listen, I decided I wasn't doing very much talking while animating, so I just went ahead and animated it silently, because I was just saying the same things over and over, and I'd rather talk about it once I have a whole thing here to talk about. So, what we got going on? What have we got going on? Well, look it, I finished up the little smoke puff, and I finished up that. I finished up that, and I'm gonna do some notes, tell you what I did right now, because it's really just the same thing over and over, except for at the end it gets a little bit different. And I'm gonna animate some more particles so you can get a good look at those. I realized you can't do it all in one continuous video. It'd be way too long. Like 2 hours. So check this out, check this out. Look at these things here. Once this vacuum starts to get filled, after a certain point, I like to make it just take over and start invading all of the appendages of the explosion from the inside. You know, really get in there and start to create the absences of smoke. So I get to stop animating it there and turn it into particles, because this is a particle tutorial. Take a look down here. What have I done? I split it up. I turned it into two sections. We got the one section, and then we have the other. This thing was once a sphere, and then it became a crescent, and then it slowly got even more crescent, and then more, and then more until it was just a line, and then eventually that line became a circle, and then that circle disappeared as it went along, and then it was all wrapped up. And why did I make it go like this? I don't know. It just looked good to me. Like, at first it was going this way because, like, I just chose that direction for it. But then, once this piece started to get cut out of it from this side, well then the body of it had to go somewhere. I figured if it's getting taken off from this side should probably be the one to take over. So it starts going that way, and then it goes up because smoke goes up. Yeah, smoke is hot and air is cold relative to the hotness of the smoke. Alright, well, what's happening right here? So we got this thing, you know, the billowing when stuff goes like this. Oh, you can really see the billowing happening over here. It's kind of like smoke rotating. Watch this point, for example. It does a whole path, and it even keeps up its path as time goes on. So you start to see this rotation of the smoke. That's what I'm going to call billowing. It's like more getting pumped up. Like if this is the source, it's pumping smoke this direction. You know, pump, pump, pump. And then at the top, eventually it stops, like a little bit, and it starts to go back and spiral in, like that. Billowing. And so you see that action happening here with this one, and you see it happening here with this one. You see, it's still pumping it right there, and so this is where it stops, and it starts to go back. That's the action. Do that all over the place. You're gonna get nice looking smoke, you know, pumping, going back. And look at, here's that spiral in action. There it is. So that one goes like for super long. So there's some explanations about what happened there. Let's take a look at this guy. What's he doing? Oh, he's just spinning, you know, like any good particle does. Say this half of him is going faster than this half. They're not going to quite rip apart because the difference isn't too big. You know, it's only like sort of big. So instead of ripping, it'll pull on it right here, and it'll start to spin it because it's pulling and it's pulling and it's pulling, and then it's spinning. And the whole thing while it's spinning is moving that way. Good, good. Making some progress. Alright, so the speed of this thing. At first, it starts fast, like, because it's filling that gap. And then it starts to slow down. But then after a second, it'll start to speed up again. You know, like it got big, then medium, then little, then big, then medium, then big, and then big. I like to do that. I think I did it on this one. It's like, yeah. So, it starts pretty fast, you know, just from filling the gap that it made, and then it'll slow down, and then it'll speed up again. So, well, you can't see it, but I outlined it. That's the speed at which the gap gets made. And then let's look at where some smoke gets kind of created. Look at this. Something's going to happen. So the whole outside of this is moving a certain way. Yada yada yada. And then eventually this is going to get sucked away faster than this little end piece is going to be able to keep up with. So it's not going to disappear and just stop existing. It might make a little particle make that I didn't even finish animating. I'll finish it right now. And so it'll just go off here. Uh-oh, I grabbed the wrong color. It'll just go up like that, and then turn into a dot. Yeah. Same thing happens all over the place. I like to do it where when a gap gets closed, like right here, this is about to close onto that. It's about to do it, and then it does. And so I'll make a little particle from where the closing happened. So like theoretically, this is the, in quotes, overlap of this one and this one, as if they kept moving. So like, it's like this one and that one. See what I'm saying? You take that, and you put it over one another, and then you get the particle that I draw here. Because the smoke, it can't just disappear. It's gotta go somewhere first. And then as this thing starts to close in on itself, I like to make just everything pick a direction and then stick with it. So like this is coming up hot on this section, and then it's flying up to it, and then eventually it'll just impart all of that into this guy, and so he'll go out here. And then what do we got? This stuff is going to get sucked backwards, and so when it turns into just little dots, those dots will be going backwards. Talking about that. And I guess that's the only one for that. You know, just pick a direction and roll with it. Same with this thing. Like this was just doing this action, but then it started getting sucked up on from behind, and then the particle flies into the air. Yeah. And then when you slow it down, it'll look fine. I'm gonna now do some filler particles, some of them to make it look nice. If I go in here and I just start doing some dots, these will only ever add quality to your explosions. Extra little particles. Unless you really want your explosion to just be one big mass, I highly recommend adding these. I already did a few out the front, and when stuff closes its gaps, just add a few more. Like right there. Why not add one right there? And then there. That one might go that way. I'm gonna have to make this thing bigger because it's so small when I export it, because I made the gun so small. I thought this was gonna maybe turn out bigger. And then that'll just go up there. And then this one, as a big gap starts to get closed, maybe leave some little bits behind. Maybe leave like a that shape behind. Delicious. Luxurious. And as this stuff goes, add some particles. Anything that looks good is anything with bunches and bunches of particles. Now watch this. The tail is going to get flung out right there. See that action? Yeah. Same might happen right here. Oh. You know, and then he's going on a wild ride. Let me save that. And then here, there's probably one in there. Add some particles. I got my left hand on the period key, and then I got my hand on my tablet, my right hand. Maybe this guy is leaving them behind as he goes. That's not a bad idea. And one there. And then one there. You know, he's leaving a little crumb trail to find his way home. Perhaps when this big thing closes, there might be like a different bit left at a different distance from the camera. And maybe like I'll make a big one here. There it goes. It'll slow down, and then it'll start to rise quickly again. Okay. I think we're almost wrapped on this first video. I'm gonna add some effects. No, I'm not. I'm not. No. This is just dust. Oh, I didn't even animate this. Look at that guy. He almost snuck under the radar. You know what I'm gonna do here? I'm gonna do a leader and follower situation. So let's say this part is moving faster than this part. So it might start to do some of this action. Right there. And then even... yeah. And then this will pile up on it. And what an introduction, you guys. An hour-long particle thing. Sorry if I don't talk. It's sometimes I gotta focus on these little dots. And then he's gonna try and turn into a single dot, and then he does, and then he flies up. Okay. I'm calling all these particles and whatnot he, because they're little people. Ooh, right here. That's gonna leave a chunk behind, just like that. Am I almost done? Am I almost done making these particles? Let's make a couple more flying really fast forward. Yeah, that's fine. So just keep those basics in mind, you know, the billowing and the whole smoke goes away from the source. And in this case, there's two sources. Well, there's like 5 sources. The first source being the barrel, the most important one. And that's where stuff like this and this and this get their momentum from. And that. Because then they all go out and do their thing. But then there's other sources, like these tips. And they send stuff away from themselves back towards the other stuff. And you start to get things piling up. Like watch, this one is coming from here. But this one is coming from back here. So these two are gonna merge together, just like that. Yeah. And then, you know, the absences start to take control. Ooh, there should be one there. And then when stuff shoots off, like I just did, like watch. I'll find a spot. There's good. So one is going to shoot off, right? Shoot out. And then it'll slow down, but then the gravity, well, the inverse gravity, the heat rising, take over, and then it'll start going really fast, and then it might disappear right there. Good. Blah, blah. And then there's that billowing. I already talked about that. The rotation. All set. I'm just gonna fill them in, because the more I talk about it, the more I repeat myself. But they're fundamental things. So get them down now. If you want to do some particles, the way that I do them. Not to say I'm any sort of authority. I swear, I'm not. This is just what I think looks nice. And then I'm filling these in and making them solid smoke. And wherever I drew holes, I'm going to leave those open to give the effect of like smoke looping in on itself. Boy, filling. Ha! There should be like a select all. Fill all closed gaps. Like if I select all those and I fill one of them, it'll fill anything that is a closed loop, and that'd be really helpful. Like unbelievably helpful. If you know a way to do that, hey, tell me right now. You can't do it with this thing, so I don't know. Almost done. And then some blood is coming next in the liquid particles. Okay. swear I missed one in here. No? Yeah, right there. Oh. Alright. Hey. You did it. You made it to the end. Well, the semi-end. I'm gonna add a couple things. Well, am I though? Isn't this good enough? Yeah, this is fine. Yep. I'm gonna double frame this now. So, I put the gun into a symbol right there so I wouldn't mess it up with the doubles. If I just, not that, if I start like, and then if I get rid of those and put some of that. Hey! Not too shabby. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. It's a pretty mellow explosion, or particle explosion. But that's not to say that it's not still alright looking. I mean, it's just the first. I'm going to go into detail on how to animate individual particles. It's an introduction. It's an introductory course. It's where you get exposed to a lot of stuff. How big is a bullet from this thing? There should be able to be a hotkey for setting here. Outline color to nothing. Somehow, there is not. Yeah, if we just do this. And that. Okay. Let's draw behind, make it gray. It's the inside of a bullet. And then we add a little bit of, no, not that. It's this, and then that, and then that, and then that, and then that. Yep. One big symbol. It's coming out. Oh, it's too bright. Can't even tell it's a bullet. There we go. Put that underneath everything. No. Oh, what have I done? Oh, shoot. There. So it starts off there, the bullet, and then in the next frame, it's out here. Maybe start a little bit higher. Yep. And then it's out here, and then one single frame later, it is out here. No, here it's like there. Yeah, it's up to you. You don't have to animate the bullet. It's not required. You can just do it like a line. Maybe that might not look good. That's alright. Hey, I'm gonna put this FLA in the description. I think I already mentioned that. But thanks for watching, you kind person. And let me know what you thought about these particles. And goodbye.